Hey, movie disciples and good people of YouTube. I am Brian. I usually say I am Movie Messiah, but if you guys didn't tune in to part one, I explained the whole thing over there. But this is Atkins Estimond on Slate Your Name. It's part two, so if you haven't seen part one, you might be a little lost, but you can get back up to speed. This is part two, though. Check it out. Did you have any sense of like, man, like I don't know, this is not going how I thought it was gonna go. Like this isn't what I thought it was going to be. Like how did you like push through that? Because I've I, I feel like somebody came to our class and was like it's like a roller coaster ride. And like you gotta
Yeah,
have your ups and your downs. So
yeah.
sometimes I go through and I was like, man, I was like, I know I want to do this, but I'm am I going about this the right way? Am I doing something dumb? Like what am I doing that's not helping me get to this next level?
It's
How'd you push through it?
yeah, that's a great question. It's hard, man. This industry beats you down. It
Mm,
really does. And but that's why I tell people you gotta love it. Like you have to love doing this
mm,
because you get put through it so much as an actor. And not to say like woe is me, but it's a hard like you're putting yourself out there yourself. You are your brand that you're
yeah,
selling. And when you get no's, it's hard not to be like, well, I guess there's something wrong with me.
right. No,
So, as far as pushing through, man, yeah, I've had a lot of moments where I was like I was literally ready to quit acting. Like I was like, I'm not
mm,
gonna be an actor anymore. I can't take this. Like
wow.
I just can't do it. Um, I had a job come through. This is early on in my career. I got a
Mm,
commercial audition, and the commercial was this is the first job I want to say that I booked, and I was like, and my brother called me. My brother at this point in time was like a junior agent or
mm,
agent assistant or something like that. And he calls me. He's like, bro, guess what? And I was like, what? He's like, you booked that commercial. And I was like, oh.
oh,
So
yeah,
we're both just like,
yeah,
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 it's booking. We're
right.
so excited. And I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, I'm going to shoot you over the details, blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, okay. And then I get off the phone with him. I'm about to call my dad and be like, yo, I just booked your job. And my dad picks up. By the time my dad picks up, my brother's calling me back. And I'm like, hold on, let me call you back. So
Yeah,
I was like, Rick's calling me, let me call you back. I call him, pick up the phone. I could just hear in his voice. He's like, man, he's like, I got some bad news. And I'm like, what? And he's like, they they came back and they were like, they had some kind of budget issue and they're not gonna be able to afford all the actors they booked. And
wow.
they had to cut an actor and you were the actor they cut. And I was like,
Like,
literally, I did everything, and as an actor, I did my job. I
yeah,
did the audition, I booked it,
hmm
and I still didn't get the job. And I was like, only in acting can that be a result for you. In
right.
any other job, when you get something done, like they can't just take it away from you like
Yeah,
that. But in acting, yes. It's like it's never really real until you see it on TV.
absolutely. Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah. And at that moment, I was like, oh, I'm done with this. Like,
Mm,
I was like, you can't win. Even when you win, you still lose, right?
yeah.
And I was just like, and this was me at the beginning of my journey.
Hmm,
And so I had a mentor of mine who was also my agent at the time,
hmm,
or one of the other agents at People Store. And I called him and I told him, I was like, look, Brian, I was like, look, I think I have to quit acting. I was like, I don't think I can take this anymore.
yeah.
And after fighting so hard for so long to try to book, I finally booked something, and then
They snatched it.
they snatched it away from me for and some of this, and just there was one person that needed to be cut, and I just happened to be. I was like, I can't do this, and
Right.
then he
That's
was
a
like,
sign.
yeah,
Uh,
he was like, he said me something. He said something to me that I like stuck with me to this day, and
mm,
it got me to back in there. And he was like. He's like, it's fine if you want to quit. That's okay. He's like,
mm,
but no matter what you do, you're going to be an actor. He's like, no matter what other job you go to, you'll still be an actor. And I was
wow.
like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I
And like,
was like, you're right. So, and he told me to write down 3 things that I wanted to accomplish that year.
mm,
And there's a lot of power in writing, committing your goals to paper. And
right.
I did. And I want to say that at least 2, if not all 3 of the things I was able to accomplish.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right. And that got me back in it. And I mean, not to say that that wasn't the only hard time I had. I had another commercial situation that happened where it was a commercial for a toy.
Mm-hmm.
And this after booked it and everything. And the toy got recalled. And I was like, so they were like, we're not doing the commercial anymore. And I was like,
wow. Yeah.
So, but by that time I was definitely hurt, and it was because I was like, that was like a moment where I was like, I need this commercial, you know?
Yeah.
But I had been hardened in my resolve by that point, so wasn't like I'm on some quit stuff, but I definitely had to like crawl into a cocoon for a little while after that one.
Take it off.
But the journey has been full of those kinds of moments, but it's also been full of some really amazing moments too.
Mm-hmm.
So I just I still, even with all the craziness, I feel like I've had a very fortunate and experience going and all the way. Like I accept all of it now. I look back and I'm like, yeah, I needed all of that to happen. I needed the bad stuff to happen
to get
to make the good stuff really good. You
right.
know, when I got my first like actual film and TV booking, like after having all that craziness happen, it was like, I want to say that it was for I think it was Dumb and Dumber 2. Yeah, for Dumb and Dumber 2, that was the first like big, really big film booking I had. I think I'd have a TV. Maybe it was on the Game. I think I booked the Game before that. But Dumb and Dumber was the first like big. And now, I've been watching Dumb and Dumber since I was a kid.
Right. On repeat.
Jeff Daniels, like, this is huge.
Huge,
Yeah, and they called me to tell me, and it was like my agent called, and they were like, hey, I got some good news. And they were like, what? And it was like, how's your Canadian accent? And because the character was Canadian. And I was like, I guess it's okay. And I was like, what? And I was like, what?
Nice.
And then I found out everybody in the office was on the line because they all know how I've been grinding, and it hadn't really, hadn't happened yet. So, and everybody was that was a really special moment I'll never forget. But if I didn't have all the craziness happen before, it wouldn't have been, it would have been good, but that made that moment more. So I'm like, I take all of it, the good, the bad, whatever. And now I just like, and also I'm in a place where I can look back and be like, whew, I made it. Or not I made it, but I'm like, I survived that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you just said it, you kind of like, I don't say my eyes, but you're on a TV show that's gotten a second season. How does that feel from like looking back from there to now? It's like, you got to feel a little bit. It's like, whoo, man, like, all right. Before that, how was the process even getting this gig? Like you're playing like a no joke. Like you come on the screen, I'm looking like, yo, like he's my guy, but he's not a good guy. I'm like, hope he's not playing any games. So I tuned in. Like we're recording this. I should have said this earlier, but we're recording this on a Sunday. The 5th episode of Hightown airs later on tonight. How was the preparation getting ready for that role? That's way different from who you are. People know who you are.
Yeah, it was a very different process. When I initially got the role, I was concerned that I probably wouldn't get it because I just never booked anything like that.
Right.
And but I gave it the same effort I give any role I get, and I really went in for it. And I basically, on the page, this was already here, that the character had some heart. Like he isn't just like a straight up killer. Like there's complexity. And that also when I was talking about the fear of portraying somebody negative or portraying it, that put that to ease for me because he's not just a bad guy. There's some complexity there. That he's a real person. There's humanity, and that's basically how I built the character. I was like, okay, starting off with him just as a good guy. And that's kind of like a process. I worked with this woman, Sarah Mornell, and she was out in LA for a while. She's in Atlanta now. And the process that I was kind of using is like, or that I've adopted and really since working with her, is trying not to chase the character, but more bring the character to me, and layer them on top of myself.
Right. Okay.
Because obviously, the reason why we like Denzel is because the natural Denzeliness he brings the
Yeah.
what he does, right?
Yeah, the
Like if
swagger.
I read that role, if I read the role in Training Day,
Mm.
it'd be completely different, right? And if you
Yeah.
read it, it'd be completely different. But you bring your own energy and mannerisms and experience to it, and I would, and he does.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it's like that little bit of who we are that we inject into the characters that make it different and interesting. So I basically really started with, trying to be like, well, nobody just wakes up and is like, I'm a killer, I'm a drug dealer, I'm whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you have stuff
Things.
that happens to you, and then
Yeah.
you kind of form your thoughts and opinions in the way you view the world. So I started at that point of being like, all right, well, how did Osito get to where he's at, and what might have made him be this way, and why does he operate like this? What makes it okay? And some of that was already on the page for me, and I incorporated those things too, and just kind of went at it like that, because obviously, there's certain things like you can't, you don't get to train for when you're playing somebody like that, and but that was essentially my process, going and getting into that character. But every day, you get to set, and it's like, all right, I'm in that zone. But also when you're walking around in someone's skin, and like, now I got a gun in my back, in my waistband, there's a different energy and vibe, So, but yeah, and also, I mean, there's a lot of different elements. I mean, I had a great cast to work off of. That also makes a big difference when you have actors, and the actors on the show are at such a high caliber that makes you step your game up too.
Right.
I was like, I can't be dragging ass in this scene.
I was like, this is the guy y'all got. He was like, I'm sorry, I'm trying.
yeah, you gotta step up and meet where you gotta bring it to where everybody else is at. So, but yeah, working on the show, it's been a crazy experience. Like getting to this place, like when I got the audition,
any nerves before? Like
there was a lot of nerves because
audition.
Yeah, or when I did it initially, the tape, the first thing I did was a tape. Like I said, I thought I wasn't going to get it. So that actually made it easier. Like I played with it, I normally, when I do an audition and I'm like, ooh, this is something I really want. That's when I'm my most nervous, because I'm like, oh, this is going to be so cool. Let me make sure I do it right. With this, I was like, not that I was kind of like, whatever, but I was like, you know what? I'm probably not going to get this, but let me just play and have fun with it. Right. Yeah. And I did, and it paid off. And, they called, like I said, started to talk about the process of them calling, and then we did the test, and then I went and I tested, and there was like a test situation. People always talk about it, and they're like, it's the worst. Like you go into this room for the network, and it's nothing but suits, and, nobody's talking to you, or they won't.
Right, and they're sitting back.
30 people from a network, and they're just in the other end of the room, just like, all right,
go ahead.
So do your thing and then leave, and, but it wasn't like that. It was very like inviting. I felt like they wanted me to win. Like they were like very much, they wanted nothing more than for me to blow them away.
Right.
So I definitely felt like it was kind of my thing to lose at that point. So I went in, and there was, I want to say they saw maybe like 5 actors for that role that day. And I did it, and I felt really good. We did it for 3 scenes a couple times. The director was there, a couple of producers, casting directors, some people from some of the production companies. Altogether, might have been like 8 people in the room, I think. Or maybe somewhere around that. Not more than 8 for sure. And then I finish, and that's it. And then when you do a test, you have to sign the contracts, which is like so whatever.
Yeah.
Like everything's already negotiated before you test.
Oh,
and
wow.
You sign the contract, and the contract essentially says the production company or the studio or whatever can execute the contract if they decide, or they can just void it, but you already signed it before you even audition. And but also in the contract, which I thought was interesting, is that they will say how much time they have to get back to you and tell you whether you got it or not.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is, as actors, normally they don't tell you a damn thing.
Yeah, it was like, bye.
Yeah, you don't know until you see somebody else doing it on TV.
Right.
And But yeah, they had to negotiate how much time they had in between me doing the audition and then telling me an answer. And I did the audition on a Friday. Flew back home actually for my daughter's baby shower. It was a very crazy weekend. And then that Tuesday they told me I got it. And I was like, whoa.
Wow.
Like I was like, that was like the craziest moment. Like I cried. Like I was just like, because it was like, yeah, it was so much, like the grind getting up to that moment was just crazy. And I was like, it finally happened. Like when you are working for something that for so long seems impossible, and even, you're telling yourself like, yeah, I can do that, I can do this. But somewhere inside of you, you're like, can I do this?
Right.
And then you get it. Like I was just like overwhelmed, and my family was there, and we were all just like, this is crazy. And being like, my life is about to change, potentially.
Yeah.
And I'm just like taking that in and being like, oh my gosh, like I got there, I did it. It worked. I put a plan together. Like back when I was sitting there with my brother saying I wanted to do this, come 10 years later, and here we are, And so that was insane. But the thing that I wasn't prepared for was switching gears from being an actor who's grinding to an actor who now is on a show and having to make a character work for a show. There's you're auditioning, and you're like, most of the time you're only on set for a day, and maybe I had done some recurring roles, but the schedule for an actor who's recurring versus somebody who's a series regular is like completely different,
Wow.
So and then also I'm like, now I have the pressure of, I'm a main character. I have like a whole new level of responsibility now in the show. Like if you're a guest star even, or just like a small recurring role, if the show isn't good, nobody's going to be like, well, that guy sucks on the show. They're not going to look for the person who's in one episode to be like, he's the reason why. They're going to look at one of the series regulars and be like, I don't like so-and-so, or so-and-so's doing a bad job.
He's not believable. He didn't pull it off.
Exactly. When you can almost, in a way, I hate to say hide a little bit.
Yeah.
You don't have like a very big role on the show. I mean, you want to obviously stand out in everything you do, but if you're not one of the regulars on the show, then chances are nobody's going to be like, well, so-and-so is the reason why, So that's when it all was like, the pressure and switching from, I'm trying to get this job, I'm trying to make it work, to I've got it now. And how do I be a series regular on a show?
Yeah.
That was the big thing that I didn't expect. That was going to be so difficult initially. There's just a whole new level of responsibility that comes along that you don't think about. Like when I started working on Hightown, that was the first time that I had a lot of input on my character. Normally, sometimes you come in on a show and it's already in process, and they're like, here's what you're going to wear, here's what you're going to do. On this, they were like, okay, well, what do you think about wardrobe? And I was like,
what?
I hadn't thought about that. Normally, in the process, all before, somebody always picked what I wore, and I just go with it. But here, they actually want my input on, and I have to be like yay or nay on things. And it's like, now what I say affects somebody else's job, because if I'm like, I don't like that, then whoever the people in wardrobe or, the costume designer is like, and I got to go buy something new or make something new, So that was a bit of a process, learning to be vocal about the things that I do like and I don't like, or the things that I think reflect the character that I'm creating. Taking that ownership was different. And just being like, oh gosh, like, am I doing the right thing? Like the choices that I'm making for the character, is this good?
Right.
I know what I think about it, but maybe they don't. And then, the creator of the show who created this, is this what they had envisioned, And what I realized is that I had been given the ownership of the character from the person, and they basically trusted me to do
your job,
what I do.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was more kind of initially being like, oh, this is just, I hadn't stepped into that yet.
Yeah.
But I also I was in kind of like a fake it till you make it thing. So I wouldn't tell anybody that I was having these.
I'm not telling anybody these.
No, you cannot. Because then they're like, then that's when they start to worry.
Like, why we get this guy? Yeah.
Yeah. Until somebody tells me they don't like what's happening, then I'm going to operate as though what I'm doing is the right thing.
Absolutely.
And then I started getting the feedback from it, and I was like, oh, okay, I was on target with what I was trying to do, and it did translate. And now I feel like I had to have that moment, that learning curve, and that was a training in itself. Now I feel like going into season 2, like I have a complete command of the character and understanding of everything and how it works. And I'm excited. I mean, I was excited then, but I have a new level of excitement now because I'm like, all right, I've really got my teeth into this.
Yeah.
What will I do with it now? You know? So it was exciting, but it was also nerve wracking, and it was a learning experience, and it was an adjustment because I literally, like I said, it was a whole shift in my mindset from, it was almost like I'm hunting now. Like I gotta, what's the next thing? Well, I gotta line the next project. Now that's not my whole energy. That's not my mode. That's not where I'm putting my energy.
Nice.
I had to stop that and reform my actor's mind and gear it towards, now I'm in this thing, put all my resources here, as opposed to I'm doing this. Once I got to line this next thing up, I got another audition I got to prepare for this. That's a whole different thing. And I actually talked to another friend of mine who had around that same time booked a series regular. And she was like, that's exactly the issue that I came up with, is having to change my mindset and switch gears, you know? So, but, it's been an amazing process, man. And like I said, I'm very thankful. I'm excited for another opportunity. I'm glad that the show is well received. I mean, I had a good feeling about it just because, like I said, the people that are on this project, reading the scripts, the care that was poured into it from everybody, from the actors to the crew to, you know, producers, the network put so much behind it.
Yeah.
Like early on, I mean, you never know what people are going to like and what they're not going to like, but I felt very confident that this was going to be something. So
yeah, I've seen billboards out here. It's like, what? It's on the 405. I was driving there yesterday, and like, I feel like if you're on this like side of this building, like the show or movie is going to be the truth. Like they've had like Deadpool up there, Love Simon. So I'm driving past it yesterday. I'm seeing it in Hightown because obviously I've been cooped up for the past like couple months, so I got a chance to like there we go. Like I felt good just watching the trailer, and then like I said, just seeing, you know, your work and your growth from the outside perspective. Like it's been tremendous. I don't want to keep too much of your time. I got one last question. Since I guess the industry is kind of changing now, especially since we've been locked down through this pandemic. Do you find it easier? Has it gotten easier for you to do self-tapes? Because that's another thing. Like I'm big kind of like on energy, being in somebody's presence, but like doing self-tape work, I feel like I've gotten a little better at it because I've been doing it in my classes recently. But it's kind of a little nerve-wracking. It's like, I'm doing self-tape. I'm like, I'm talking to a wall right now. I'm talking to somebody on camera, on my laptop or on the phone. Is that process harder for you? Or have you gotten used to it now since you've been in the game so long?
I will say I feel more comfortable doing self-tapes.
Oh, okay.
But in Atlanta, we primarily do self-tapes.
I feel like I heard that. Okay.
Yeah. They do way more self-tapes out here than in LA. LA, you're in the room way more, from what I understand. But yeah, even before the pandemic, like it was primarily self-tapes. Like I said, for Hightown, this was a series regular role, I did a self-tape. And I felt like, or in Atlanta, it's like guaranteed it's very rare that for the initial audition, you'll go in the room. There's some casting directors here who'll still do it. But most of them primarily like send a tape. And then from the tape, depending on the size of the role, they may just book you off at a tape, or they'll have you come back in for a callback. And then that's when you get into the room. Yes. But initially, most of the tapes most of the initial audition are tapes. So I feel very comfortable doing a tape. I'm not uncomfortable in the room, and I can book in the room because, like I said, most of the callback situations, you got to go into the room. Yeah. And I feel like for an actor, you got to be good at both. You got to be able to tape. And the thing I appreciate about taping is you can make it as good as you want, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you get the opportunity. I mean, like, you don't want to be the person who's doing 100 takes, right? You want to be able to get it done quickly.
Yeah.
But Like, I'm like, if I'm going to do a tape, I'm going to do the tape the best. I'm going to get the best person to read with me. I'm going to get an actor who I feel comfortable with and I know has skills, but they'll bring the best out of me. I'm going to, you know, make sure that I'm doing this the best I can. And, yeah, so with the taping, I've already been comfortable with it, but I feel like, or my tips, I guess, or advice for people who are doing tapes and kind of like whatever is, I feel like you got to get comfortable watching yourself. A lot of people I know do not like to watch their tapes back. I think you should look and be like, it's like you're watching footage if you're an athlete.
Yep.
I'll watch a tape, I'll do a tape, I'll watch it back, and I can be like, I need to adjust this. I need to do that. I'm not doing what's happening here. Like, what am I, you know, or if the eye line isn't, you know, that's really important. And if you don't watch your tape back, then you don't catch that, right? So that's the thing. I was like, get comfortable watching yourself. I've mentioned this on interviews before. You got to learn the rules of taping before you can break the rules. By that, I mean, like, a lot of people are like, oh, you know, don't wear a costume, don't have props or whatever, all these different rules. And people are, because casting directors will put that in the notes, and people are like, oh, okay, the casting director said this is the gospel, I can't break it. And there's certain things that, yes, you shouldn't, but there's certain things where it's like, when they say no costumes, like, it's like, all right, somewhere on the line, somebody did something stupid, which is the truth about many rules, and we had to make a rule, right? But if you know what you're doing, like, for instance, like when I booked the role on The Resident, like, I wore scrubs, and it didn't it didn't distract. That's the thing. You don't want whatever you're doing to distract. If you're distracting, that's different. If you're reading for the role of a medieval knight, don't come in a full suit of armor and a helmet, and, you know, that's distracting. But, if you're reading for the role of a doctor and you're wearing scrubs or you're wearing a lab coat, that makes sense. And now I see you, because it's like, if you see me just like this, you may not think of me as a doctor.
Right.
Me in scrubs and a lab coat, all of a sudden, oh, okay, maybe he is a doctor, you know, or maybe that sells it more. You have to think about the people who are seeing your tapes.
Right.
A lot of times aren't necessarily creatives, right? So they don't see it unless they see it. Right. So that's why I'm always like, sometimes you got to kind of help them along with the role that I booked for. And this is actually another thing. My coach, Sarah Mornell, she was like, if there's an action or something they want you to do in the sides, try to really do that action. Like, she was like, when you're trying to mime things, she's like, there's nothing worse than watching people mime things, because it's like, you clearly, no matter how good you're doing it, somewhere in your mind you feel silly, and that's coming out, right? So I had an audition, or for the audition for Hightown, and one of the scenes he's eating chicken wings. So I actually had some chicken wings and I was eating them, you know, in the audition. And I don't know if everybody else was eating in their audition, but there's a good chance probably not. Maybe most of them at all weren't. But that gives you another moment to have a moment there, right? To live as that character, you know? So I always tell people that don't be afraid to do something if it's going to help you, if it's going to amplify what you're doing. If it's going to distract, that's different. But if it's going to help you, if putting on the outfit, if you're a baseball player, if wearing the jersey is going to help you in that role, then wear the baseball jersey. Or if, you know, if you're supposed to be cooking, then, you know, set up a little something that you're putting a peanut butter and jelly sandwich together while you're doing your scene. Who knows?
Nice.
Or maybe you got a little salad that you're making, and it doesn't even have to be on camera, but just when we naturally have something we're actually doing, it just makes it more real, you know? So I think those are the tips that I would give to take your self-taping up, is knowing when to, you know, to push the boundaries on certain things. And also feeling comfortable with watching
yourself.
And also making, like, working it in your favor. Like, if you know that you've got a friend of yours who's an actor who's outstanding and you guys are cool and they don't mind reading with you, get the best reader you can get. Some people have, like, they'll have their tape in and you can tell their reader is maybe like their significant other, their brother or sister, whoever, who is not an actor, and they're just like, hey, hey Beth, what
They're
did
just
you
reading.
do?
Yeah.
And and it's like just hearing them is kind of distracting, So give yourself the best odds to win.
Right.
That's what you have to do at self-taping.
Yeah, like I've had my girlfriend, not for anything big. I think like one thing, but she doesn't like being on camera at all.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
After a while, I was like, you know what? Like, just save you and myself. Like, I don't put you under any pressure, like, and put you in any stress. Like, trust me. Like, if I ever going to ask you, like, say just one word, like, hey, come on stage. Thing. That's all. Like, besides it, yes, grab somebody that's going to help you out.
Absolutely. And another big thing this is like a weird little like I nerd out a bit about self-taping, and this is another thing that I actually learned from Sarah is when you have an audition and it's like 5 people in the room that you're talking to, and it's like so hard to be like what, like trying to fake the eye lines for every person. Dude, if 3 or 4 actors who are willing to, back before we were quarantining, but back when you could get people together to tape with you, like I'd be like, yeah, let me actually get some of my friends who are actors to stand in and read these roles. And even that adds another level to it, because you're when you actually are talking to somebody as opposed to an eye line that you've given yourself, that changes things to another level too. So, but yeah, those are my self-tape tips by Atkins.
Okay, I like that. You got to sell that. Okay, I love it. I said one last question before, but quickly.
Yeah, dude, take your time.
Like I said, when I was reaching out to you, I was like, I had like a tip. When I was doing a lift a little bit myself before my car started acting a little crazy. I'm driving this guy around, and he was like an acting coach. So he was like, hey, you say you're an actor. So he was like, your next goal should be like surround yourself with people that you want to be like, or people that's on another level than you. So that's why I was like, reach out. I'm like, Atkins clearly is in the right space, like where I'm trying to get to. Did you do that yourself, or have you found yourself doing that? Because I know you say you got mentors and stuff like that, or are you around surrounding yourself with people? Oh, okay, I'm like, I see what they're doing. I'm trying to get there. Things like that.
Yeah, definitely. I had some mentors who were like all my mentors pretty much were actors who or at least are might have just been in that market in Atlanta, or who had been in bigger markets or whatever. All the ones that gave me the best jewels and wisdom were actors.
Yeah.
And not necessarily any of them were or not all of them were working at the time, but a couple of them were. Like one of the bigger ones, she was on her name's Melissa Ponzio. She was on Teen Wolf, and she was also on The Walking Dead. She's like on Chicago Fire, I believe, as well.
Yeah.
And she's been like many a times I've reached out to her when I was like I had needed some advice, because she's been a series regular before. She's she's been on some big shows, and just kind of picking her brain about stuff. And to the point, like when I started Hightown, like she was giving me advice about, when you want to do this, and, you need to kind of set up or here's an accountant that you might want to work with, that sort of thing. So, I think it is important, because there's sometimes the steps in front of us are not well lit, and you need somebody to kind of shine some light who's gone up those stairs to say, all right, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go up here and you're going to make a left, or you're going to make a right, whatever. So, kind of what you're doing. So I think you do kind of need to find some people. And it's like in this industry, and I think we had a conversation about that, how it's so hard to kind of have that moment with people, because not everybody's willing to talk to you about what they did. There's a lot of people who are like, no, I can't. I don't want to share
it's my process.
My thing.
My
whatever.
journey is my journey. Your journey is your journey. It's like
absolutely, yeah. I had people who helped me out, so I'm like, I definitely want to pass back that thing. Now I told you too this. I was like, I feel like for me though, I'm always like, all right, what are you doing? I had people reach out to me who are like, haven't done anything. And I was like, okay, well then you need to start somewhere. Right. And obviously it's like, I don't know where to start, but I was like, there's certain things that you have to start doing on your own. You have to start moving, and then I can hit you with the baton and be like, all right, here's the thing. All right, now you can go, But if you didn't even start running, then I'm like, well, what are you doing, So, yeah, I try to be available to, all my people who I know and friends and stuff like that as resources. And I got people coming up just like randomly, like, hey, what did you do? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just like, to a point, I have to kind of like, I think you have to kind of guard yourself too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because if you don't, people want to take advantage of you and they'll use you up and stuff like that. But for people I know, friends and stuff like that, like, yes, absolutely. How can I help you? Like, what are you trying to do,
Yeah.
But also being through it, I'm like, I know what I did, and I had to do a lot of stuff and kind of that's the thing. I don't want anybody to go out there and make mistakes, but I went out there and I did try to, I was like, all right, I need to do some extra stuff. I need to, but that was also something that I got from mentors. So that's why I'm like, I'm very much like, yes, I want to be a resource for people, and I want to be able to be like, yes, okay, this is what you want to do. And I also made mistakes. I paid money I shouldn't have paid, So, but yeah, I try to make myself available as much as I can to be like, all right, here's some things you should do. Here's some things you shouldn't do. Here's, some kind of potholes in the road. And also, I think it is important to have people who are around you who've been to the rodeo before and can kind of tell you like, all right, this is what you should be looking out for. This is what you should be doing. This is what's going to yield something for you. And this will not give you anything, So
nice. Yeah. Like I had, like right before I quote unquote went broke in 28, like towards the end of 2018, because I had a job. I had like my first pretty much got out closer to LA. I had a full-time job. I was all right. I had a little bit of money, but I needed to keep making more money, and I started taking like classes for real. And I was okay. I'm in a rhythm. I was like, Brian, you got to start going out there. I was like, started to go out there. I got a full-time job. It's killing me. And luckily, I got fired. Luckily,
firing is what you need.
Yeah. So I had like more times to go and actually like be on set, go to auditions really and things like that, and learn and grow a bit. And then like in 2018, I also had like a little more meetings with people, and I guess they weren't going in my head. I was like, man, like I've taken classes, I've done this. I got a couple clips. I'm waiting for my push to get back. It was like, well, you need to like go to a couple more classes, things like that. So it was kind of like a trying time in my head, but I was like 2019, I'm going to bounce back. So I just had a meeting with somebody and they were like, I see your clips, but I don't know if you're ready. So I was like, all right, next time I meet with you though, I'm going to be ready all the way. So like, I'm literally waiting for like one last thing to come back so I can finally sit down and have reps where they be
real.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, because I had people like come to class. I'm like, you're branded this way. I'm like, yeah, you're gonna probably be a cop. You're gonna be a lawyer. I'm like, you're gonna be the trifling boyfriend. Like, I literally had somebody come and say that. I was like, wait, that's my brand. I'm like, when I turned that guy, I was like, you not in high school? Like, I'm a nerd, fam. Like, I'm like,
sometimes you gotta kind of brush off some of that stuff that those labels people put on you.
Yeah.
Because then you mess around and you like buy into that. Like, I did a workshop. Sam Christensen has and he passed away. He was a casting director out in LA, and he does this workshop about myths and archetypes and your character and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And essentially it kind of helps you to understand how people see you.
Yeah.
Right. And it breaks down those, because it's really important when you go in a room to think about, well, what am I giving off? And I found that I had such a weird and warped way that I was viewing myself that people weren't seeing, Yeah. So that was a big change for me. But then, people will come and they'll tell you, well, I always had one guy who was like, yeah. See, he was kind of like, you could be like maybe I forgot what he would always say. It was something to the effect of being like what was it? I forgot the word he was saying, but whatever this idea he was putting on me, and I'm like, that's not how I see myself. That's definitely not the kind of roles I want to get.
Right.
So I kind of had to not pay attention to that and be like, nah, I'm gonna keep doing my own thing and find my own path here, and and just be believe that the right roles will be there for me, you know,
Nice.
and we'll link up and eventually it'll work, you know. But yeah, you do have to kind of take some of that with a grain of salt and be like, is this person out there talking about? Because everybody has their ideas and it's not always right, you know. Like I said, nothing I'm not saying that everything I'm saying is the gospel or the, you know, set in stone 10 commandments, but that's just been my experience. So
did it take you a while for you to, I guess, get the demo reel that you wanted so you could meet with the reps and things like that? Or
that was a bit of a process, and it's been an ongoing thing. Like I recently dropped. I recently
dropping the CD tomorrow. Album Atkins
dropped the most fire demo. No, I recently updated my my reel, and it's just gotten to a place where I'm like, oh, it's like I finally taken out all the weak stuff in it. And for a while there, you have some stuff in there where it's just like, this is the footage I have. It may not be my best work, but it's what I've got.
Right.
And I had, you know, a demo reel where it started off and I was like, I had a couple things and I was like, okay, this is good. But as I get better projects, more, you know, scenes where I was like more of me, because, you know, initially you just like, all right, here's me, and I just say the one line and then that's it, you know. But then I'm like, all right, so after a while you want it to at least make it to a certain length, right? Like I think they say no more than like 2 minutes or something for a reel. But then also now, you know, on Actors Access they have like just the separate clips, you know. But if you do have one of those kind of like montage-y type reels, then I think they don't want it to be longer than like 2.5 minutes, maybe. So if you're trying to get to the place where you could fill up 2.5 minutes.
Yeah.
Once you get to that, then you're like, all right, let me put the best stuff I've got. But eventually you have to get the really good stuff, you know? So it just took me a while of like booking things and waiting for things to drop and waiting, you know, and finally now but also now I'm in a position where it's like, I mean, I think it definitely helped. My reel helped with getting my New York. Like that was something that my agents in Atlanta sent to the people in New York and were like, hey, we got this guy, take a look at this, you know? But now that I've got the New York rep, it's good. I have a good reel for them to push out there. But I feel like I'm like, all right, now I'm in a place where I've got a good reel and I'm like, I'm good. Like, not like that's like, I mean, obviously the Hightown stuff, I'll eventually put that in there. Or actually, I'm like in a place now where I'm like, I have a lot of comedic stuff. Now maybe I should put together a reel where it's more my comedic stuff and another reel where it's my dramatic stuff, right? So, but it takes a while of building, because also, like you said, sometimes you're just waiting for the things to drop. Like if the project isn't out, you can't get the footage, you know? So that is, you know, every actor's dilemma. And then especially if it's indie stuff, because sometimes with that, you never get it. You're hunting people down. You don't even know how to get in touch with these people to get
I'm sitting around, I'm like, I ain't getting footage. I can't go to nothing. Like, Brian, why aren't you doing this? Like, I have people come to class like, Brian, you're good. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I ain't got no footage, fam. Like, I'm waiting for the footage, and trust me, I feel the same way. Thank you for saying. I'm like, thank you for helping me. Like, I feel good too, but I don't have the shit to go out there and sit down with people. I'm like, I don't want to go through. I mean, I know the game is, you know, heartbreaking. It's a lot of no's, so I'm used to getting no's, but I want to sit down again and be like, yeah, man, you all right, but you don't have everything just yet. So this is a long process, but I finally feel like, okay, it's going down. And then like the pandemic, like kind of set in, like slapped everybody in the face.
Messed up a lot of stuff, man. I mean, for Hightown, like we didn't have a real premiere for the show. We were supposed to, we got accepted into South by Southwest, and South by Southwest got canceled, obviously. So it really changed the rollout of this show. But I mean, thankfully, you know, people really watched it. So still, that really helped. But it was a lot of stuff. And also, like, right when everything shut down, I had some auditions coming in for some other projects. That's the thing. It's like I've got to a place right now where I'm like, all right, I'm going to try to ride the wave that I got right now.
And, absolutely.
You know, hopefully open up some other opportunities. But there's not a whole lot of stuff moving in the industry right now.
Yeah.
So it's Corona has kind of put the brakes on. But I feel like once things get back going, it's going to be like a flood of things because so many projects are like ready to go, or behind the scenes they're like putting it together, you know, where they're like they've got the script, they've got the whatever, and they're like, all right, well, once we need to cast these things. So for a while there, I think we're about to enter a place as actors that'll be very there'll be a very good position for us to be in, with there being an influx of things needing to be casted. But it's just all depending on when that's going to happen. For me, I found out like, okay, yeah, now we have a season 2, but they don't know when they're going to be able to shoot it. So yeah, just waiting to see what happens on those ends. And but yeah, I think that like don't be discouraged. It's gonna you're in a good place. You're still, you know, that it's just an obstacle, not like the end of the road, you know, like this is gonna, and that happens. And like I said, you're gonna look back at this and you're gonna be like, wow, that was a crazy little thing that happened.
Right. Like,
right now. Yeah, right now it seems like, gosh, you know, but there'll be a time when you'll look back and be like, man, that quarantine really kind of, that was funny, you know. Not funny, but that was a time. You know?
It was a wild time. Do you have any? I mean, obviously, second season's been greenlit for Hightown. Anything else that's coming in the works that you can speak of just yet, or?
Oh man, like literally, like I said, I was in the process of auditioning for some projects, and some really cool stuff too. Like I was like, this is definitely a level of excitement right now. I'm still excited because I'm like, this is still a great time. But yeah, all the stuff that I was like, maybe I'll get on this thing is like, it all got, all of that got stopped. And it's like, I've been back home and I haven't had anything happening on either. I mean, I've had like some commercial things come in, but nothing that I was like, even like, that would be worth it, you know. Some stuff that it was just like probably best for me to pass on. So
I'm like, I'm stay at the crib.
But no, film and TV wise, nothing. It hadn't been a single film and TV audition coming. So, and that was a problem I was having just in general, where it was like, after I booked Hightown, it became kind of difficult to do anything. Like I was in hiatus I've been on hiatus from the show for a while. Like we finished. Like we're coming up on a year of being done with filming.
Wow.
And in that time, I had nothing come in. I mean, I had stuff that was like, I had auditions, but it was very few and far between. But also it was like with the contract that I signed, like I'm limited on the kind of things that I can do.
Work on.
Yeah. So, and also it's like, my reps and stuff are like, we want to be moving forward, not back. So I'm like, I'm not going to go do a co-star now.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you know, it's like if I'm going to do something, it's going to be a guest star role, something that's worth it. And there just hadn't been anything really that was like, and the stuff that did come in, I just didn't get, you know, which is the nature of the game. So, so I'm like ready to get back in the saddle. You know? If it's going to be Hightown or whatever it is, I'm ready to work.
Ready to work. Yeah, I feel like this thing has been, the lockdown's been weird, but at the same time, I guess probably a blessing for people who don't get a chance like to really be around their family. So I'm like,
that has been the silver lining.
Yeah, like you getting ready, or you being able to be around your family. I know that had to be great for you, like to actually, see your baby girl and things like that.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was like, that's been like, I know that this has been like hard, like more than hard. Like people have lost their lives, people lost their jobs. It's been terrible for people, but for me personally, I've been taking it as like, all right, I've had this really just uninterrupted time with my family, which has been really special. So, and that's not to discount what's happened to everybody else, but that's just my personal thing, you know?
Yeah.
And, but the only thing is like now I'm like, I was hoping that Hightown would have put me, the schedule would have worked out to where I could have gone and shot it and been done and came back and been home for the birth of my second daughter. But the way things are shaking out, I probably am not going to be here, or I might be here when she's born, but then have the same situation where I got to leave again, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm not loving that, but you got to make adjustments, and that's the business. So, but no, it has been. I mean, the time with family, and it was like I needed it, man. My wife was working. My wife's a teacher, and
oh, okay, nice.
Yeah, so she was she was working, getting up early in the morning, and it was me and my daughter all day, and I was just getting burnt out. And then when the the quarantine happened, then it was like, all right, now both of us are home, and now we got into a schedule where we're like, all right, you're gonna be up I'll be up with her in the morning, and then you're gonna get up and you're gonna be up with her. I'm gonna take a little nap, So now it's like, and she was also getting tired because she was pregnant. And so she was just like at work, just like I'm wore down. So it was actually for us, our family, it was like right on time, not like the sheltering in place, because we were both just getting really kind of wore down.
Yeah.
So, but yeah.
Kind of blessing in disguise. Well,
blessing in disguise, man. I take it all, man. All of it. You never know. Like sometimes you're like, man, why did this happen? Even with Corona, I'm like, who knows why the thing that might have been prevented, that something that could have. I'm like everybody. I'm trying not to make it seem like yay quarantine or yay COVID-19, but sometimes things happen in your life, and you're like, damn, that messed up a lot of stuff. But then you don't see all the ways that it actually was a benefit for you, or the ways that it was actually like, oh man, like that actually helped me out,
Yeah.
Initially, when you're in it, obviously it's harder to see those things, but
Absolutely. Yeah, man. Well, I want to thank you. I want to let you get back to your family. I've taken up too much of your time, and I would definitely be hitting you back up, whether it's doing it for the YouTube channel, just in general. Like, man, you dropped so many gems, and help me, like, I would say clarity, but just like clear some stuff up, man. Just like give me insight into just what it takes to get to that next level. So I gotta thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for chopping it up.
Absolutely.
Like, this is so big that I'm gonna chop this up in 2 parts. So I'm definitely like,
anytime, man. Like if you got something, or you just have some questions about stuff, like, man, feel free to hit me up. Like, I feel like you're really in a good place. I think I heard you say that you were taking class at Groundlings, or
I took a class at Groundlings. I was thinking about like hopping back into it because I didn't know what the hell I was really doing. I was like, I think about everything just in general life. So like being an improv is like, no, don't think, just do. It's like,
just do it. It's like, I always tell actors, like, be comfortable with improv. You don't have to be the best improviser in the world, but you should be comfortable with improv, because it's a skill that you would be surprised how much it can benefit and come in handy for actors doing film and TV. So,
right.
I think you're in a good place. It's just like the things are going to line up soon. You're going to start to see, like you said, you're pulling the pieces together, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna start to click, and things, the right opportunities will start to lay themselves in front of you.
Absolutely. Would you be down to hop on and do a movie Mondays where I talk about movies, TV shows? My homie Angela, I'm like, you down to do that?
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, cool. I'm like, I'll send you the questions like I do everybody else, so you're gonna be like, what are you talking about? We just chop it up and pretty much have fun, kind of like we were doing here, but won't be more so about you dropping some knowledge, just having fun. About movies and stuff like that. So I hit you up soon about that. Man, Atkins, for real, I appreciate you again, dog. Like, I will put your Instagram down so everybody can make sure they follow you, and make sure they tune in to Hightown.
Yeah.
We got 4 episodes left this season, and I'm loving everything that's going on, and definitely your character, and like killing it, man. I love everything that you've been, and I can't wait to see what else goes down for you in your career, man.
Yeah, thank you, man. And like I said, whenever, hit me up, man. I'm
you messed up.
I'm make it work. I will.
Yeah, I'll be texting you now. I'm like, hey, hack, and like, look at this shit. Is this trash? Like,
all right, man. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day.
Likewise, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, always.
Yes, sir.
Man, that was awesome. And I gotta thank Atkins one more time for chopping up with me, dropping some knowledge. I definitely feel like I learned a lot from that. Hopefully you guys did as well. Man, post your comments down below. I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts. And make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe to the channel and hit the notification bell so you can be notified for whenever I drop some videos. Also, make sure you guys follow myself and Atkins on social media. Once again, appreciate him and I appreciate you guys. If you like this, cool. If you didn't, I don't know what to tell you. It's your boy, Brian, Base 5, let's ride.